All right, I want to start with the nation. Another governor threatens to quit Atiku campaign. CBN's digital currency yet to gain traction. Court will decide ASU's withheld salaries, says Ngige. 2 Pakistanis others held for cocaine skunk trafficking. Dollar scarcity worsening petrol supply, says marketers. COP27, Buhari world leaders tackle climate change. JAM, only CBT centers with laptops will be accredited. Okay, let's start with which story?
Let's start with the picture story. So NDLEA is on it again, and 2 Pakistanis have been arrested by the NDLEA. They're believed to, they came in about a week before on their departure. They were arrested. So they have Nigerian residence permits that's believed to be fake, and they were boarding while and attempting to go to Qatar, and they had cocaine on them and other. They came in on the 30th of October, and then when they were arrested, they had concealed 8 kilograms of cocaine in a public address system, and they were arrested. Also at the Sako import shed, November 4th, some cartons of tramadol were seized, and these illicit drugs were going to Pakistan as well, and so many other people. Drugs found in footwears, in body creams. Also, a young 32-year-old Oladiton Sarah Olufumilayo had also been arrested. She had taken like this whole package to the export shed, and she was arrested there as well. And so many other arrests that they have done. Even some barons that NDLEA had been on the lookout for. They finally got 2 of them, and they were arrested as well.
All right. So a human rights lawyer, not human rights, human rights lawyer, activist lawyer, Femi Falana has actually urged the president to pay ASU, especially the 8 months arrears. That's from the, I think it was February to October salaries during the strike. The minister, Ngige, said that he cannot independently make that decision, that the issue is still in court, that is left for the courts to decide. The National Industrial Courts will be done to guide the federal government on what to do with the withheld 8-month salary. And he said that the matter is in court. We will be waiting for the court to call us back. And also the issue of why they registered Conway. Remember, that was also in court. So these are the various, because ASU also took the federal government to court on why they would have allowed Conway to be registered. So they said there are quite a few issues before the court that they're going to await the court's ruling before they can agree on if they should pay the salaries of the 8 months that the ASU lecturers went on strike.
So on the e-naira, Bloomberg did a reality check on our e-naira, the digital currency.
And we launched.
A year after, and it's so sad. It's so depressing for even I to read. So according to this report in the nation, only 1 out of every 200 Nigerians, which amounts to 1% of our total population, that have subscribed to the e-naira. You know, the digital currency was an option that the CBN had created as an option to the Bitcoin system. And the report says Nigeria ranks the highest in Africa, 11th in the world, that, you know, subscribes to these Bitcoins. Okay. But they did not give that same love to the CBN's digital currency when it came out. And that, you know, the e-naira just, you know, remains unsubscribed. I would say that apart from the first noise around the e-naira when the CBN launched it, they didn't do more. So
it's not really about Nigerians.
So it's not about Nigerians, really. It's about them. The system. You know, the people who usually do businesses online, who get paid with this Bitcoin and all of that, cryptocurrencies. What did you do to reach out to them, to offer them? How many of them did you find out, you know? Did you convert into influencers? Yes, into influencers. How many popular people are talking about it? So for people to gain trust of it. So the CBN needs to sit up and do something.
I have a very important story. The dollar worsening in the case of petrol. We've had a bit of petrol scarcity, which is a bit unexplained because this explains the issue. So the executive secretary of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Clement Isong, has explained why there's a bit of scarcity, that the cost of moving petrol from the mother vessel that brings it in, the NNPCL mother vessel, with a daughter vessel to the shores had risen. So usually it should be about, and it's paid for in dollars. Usually it was about $200,000 to rent per day the vessel that would move from the mother ship into onshore. And that the cost has gone from $200,000 per day to $450,000 per day. That does not include the fact that they are going to be paying dollars for the NPA use of facility. They are also going to be paying Nigeria Maritime, the NIMASA, for security in dollars. So, and dollar is not available. That's why we don't have enough PMS. The mother vessels are available with PMS. The cost of transporting it and paying in dollars, and paying NIMASA in dollars, and paying NPA in dollars is why we don't have enough fuel available. The conversation is around the fact that it will take 10 days to even move. So you're talking from $200,000 to $450,000, and we don't have fuel. So if there are areas that we can change it into Naira, so that they can pay for these things in Naira as opposed to dollars, because everybody is demanding dollars within a Naira-driven economy. We should say we are a dollar economy now.
We are buying the products in dollar now. These are all, so Nigerians are not, we're not sure what we want.
NPA can be paid in Naira.
But I'm just saying that the vessel that is bringing it, they're not collecting Naira now. It's a Nigerian vessel.
And they say the hike was due to diesel. The cost of diesel to move it had gone up, so they had to increase the price.
Let's move on to the punch.
We are bearing dollars in our home.
We need
radical,
drastic,
shaky.
The punch. Presidential town hall. Economy security dominate as Atiku Tinubu skip debate. 19 die as Tanzania plane plunges into lake. ISOP attacks claimed over 15,000 so far. PDP crisis won't stop Atiku's victory, says Senator Urogide. FRSC backs officer who injured pregnant woman. Moribund Ajaokuta still spends 29 billion naira on personnel. Half salary ASU ESCO meets, lecturers more sit at home. Okay, so...
the sad situation with the plane crash went all over the place yesterday that in Tanzania, a plane carrying a 48-seater plane drowned. Well, it landed sharp, but it drowned. And about 19 people were confirmed dead. 24 people survived. The figure wasn't clear as to if the 19 that died included some of the rescuers might have drowned along the trying to rescue the people. But what they confirmed was that they don't know if the entire plane was filled to the field. It was possible that two people were not on board, died during the rescue effort. I had those told that lost their lives. Air flight still is one of the safest ways to move around. It's just that whenever something goes wrong, its fatality is always huge. But
still looking over the papers. What's the story? I was going to take the story of the town hall meeting yesterday. So yesterday, there was a town hall meeting that was scheduled for all the major presidential candidates to attend. Okowa, who is the vice president of Atiku on the PDP, represented Atiku. Peter Obi was there, and a whole bunch of others. And when asked why Asiwaju couldn't make it, his spokesperson of the campaign, Mr. Ononuga, said specifically that they were in Mina because they actually have a schedule that's been approved by the party, and they had a town hall meeting being held exactly the same time in Mina, Niger State. And it's important for them to always consider their schedules before coming up with these media town hall meetings, so they already have their plans, but they couldn't leave what they had already planned to be there. But it was an interesting conversation where most of the candidates were speaking mostly on economy and insecurity. And I think many of them did agree that we need more foot soldiers, we need more boots on the ground, as said by Okowa. And so get more soldiers, we need more intelligence, we need to support the welfare of our soldiers, we need to diversify economy. So many of them really spoke around what needs to be done. But I guess the real question is who's going to do, who can do it, who has the boldness and the confidence to actually get it done.
Who would Nigerians give the mandate to do it?
Yes, that's the real conversation. Who would Nigerians give the mandate to do it? Yeah, go ahead.
Steel company, I have the story here on how much has been spent from 2016 till date. So from data collected from the appropriation bill for 2016 to the one proposed for 2023, Ajaokuta Steel Company has had a total of 29.35 billion allocated to cover personal costs and cost of, you know, servicing, like gen and all of that at that place, and it is still moribund. It's not working, but they continue to budget for staff and all of that. So this report just...
For years.
There's a breakdown of every year, 3-something billion to 1.106 billion. What exactly was the plan of the federal government within this period? That would explain.
So it's one thing to have... Did they actually spend that money?
Yeah,
or was just budgeted?
Total of
budgeted
29 billion has been spent.
Spent, yes.
29 billion spent on something that is not working or producing
some
income.
For salaries and wages, 3 billion, you know, per year and all of that. But that means the staff for that steel complex still resume at work and close.
And to do what?
To do what exactly?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a story. An officer of with the Federal Road Safety Corps, Monday Olamigoke, is being accused of harassing a pregnant woman. So the story is that on the Ilesha-Akure highway, they had stopped a bus filled with people. This eyewitness account is saying that for them, they were stopped in between two trailers, and they felt that it was not right for them to have stopped them when there was an oncoming trailer. And so when the officers finally got to them, they were all shouting, "Why would you do that? You know, this is dangerous." And when they got out, one of the eyewitnesses said that the officer mistakenly hit the woman and then she slumped. But there are other stories saying that no, he hit her, he beat her, and while she was bleeding. Meanwhile, on the other side, the FRSC is saying that what actually happened was that that bus was overfilled with people, and so that's why they were stopped. And when they stopped, the driver didn't stop immediately. He was actually trying to run them off the road before they finally got him to stop. And that the woman fell, yes, but he did not. In fact, it was him that was. It was the officer that was injured on his ear. And when the woman slumped, this officer was the one that took her to the hospital. She had no injuries or any bleeding, but, you know, and she's been revived. The family have been they've spoken to the husband. The husband says that his pastor is going to handle it and he will get back to everyone. Okay,
moving on quickly to Daily Sun. Flood, 51 dead, 254 communities submerged. INEC under attack over voter registration, accused of bias against some zones. I'll believe legacies of credible elections, massive infrastructure, says Buhari. ASU NEC meets over half salary payment. Ugwanyi, our only leader in Enugu, declares Mba. Town hall meeting, Obi Kokonso, Okowa Abiola clash on insecurity and economy. Oshimba Jozo Dima, NSA, INEC, share build for editors conference in Owerri. Okay, which story?
So the president was speaking, was represented, you know, by the chief of staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. He was talking at the Legislative Mentorship Initiative, and at the State House over the weekend, spoke about how the president has a plan to leave a legacy of free and fair elections, and that there's a lot of significant investment being done by this administration to ensure there's free and fair election towards, in 2023. He also spoke about the fact that Nigeria is going to be the third most populous nation in the world after India and China by 2050, and he was speaking that Nigeria should have a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Then a lot was said about what he's done in this administration. A lot as general reports, but the core of it was we should expect free and fair election as a legacy from the Buhari-led administration to Nigeria.
Yes, and also in Adamawa State, at Sama, the Adamawa State Emergency Management has confirmed that due to the flood, 51 people have lost their lives. They said that half the local governments in the state were severely hit by the flood, and lives and property were lost. They said that the effect of the flood was quite heavy. It wasn't, the impact was not as they had anticipated. It was much worse. But they also say that the Northeast Development Commission had also disbursed some relief materials. They go on to make a whole list of some of the food items and other materials that were received to be given to those in the camps.
So INEC is being attacked, saying that they are having issue of voter registration, over registration in certain areas, and they're being biased against certain zones. I took that story because I also had a bit of that concern, because when I went to try to get my PVC, the officer was asking me if I had a previous PVC and then re-registered. He said if you had a previous PVC and then you registered, that's over-registration. It's going to totally nullify it. So many people made that mistake where you're supposed to actually renew or transfer or do something. You cannot just take a whole new PVC because already in the database. So if they see that you have double registration, they're likely to be invalid. So many are now claiming that it's intentional for INEC to do this to differentiate some areas, certain areas, and well, that's debatable. But
I remember they gave that information. That information, yes, that you don't double register. If you register before, renew or update.
Yes.
It wasn't.
So, but some are saying that they are not registering in certain zones in certain parts of the country. Okay, moving on quickly now to Vanguard. FG pushing manufacturers, others out of existence, says MAN, NECA, and ASIMA. Man says 5 stepchildren ablaze over wife's alleged denial of sex. Nigeria must kill idea of same-faith ticket in 2023, says Northern Christians. Withheld salaries, how Minister Asu boss's personality clash, aggravating situation. Tinubu healthier than Atiku, says APC PCC. Nasani collaborates with Italy, Jordan, Czech Republic to revolutionize agric in Nigeria. Transmission, upload of results. Political party CSOs tackle INEC over public view of polling results. NAF airstrikes, kill ISWAP commanders, Ali, Kwaya, Buka, American, and others. 2023 election, opportunity to rewrite Nigeria's history, says CAN on NIACOM.
A major headline quickly. The organized private sector made up of these 5 groups, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, that's NASIMA, Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, the Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industries, NASI, Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME, have all lamented that the federal government continued policies on manufacturers, stifling them and pushing them out of business. And they said that the National Assembly presently have about 17 bills, prepared to levy more on the organized private sector and their businesses. They said there's also a proposed increase in excise duty for tobacco, spirit, alcohol, and non-alcoholic beverages. And, this continues to add increasing costs on production. They also have to deal with epileptic power, supply, security, access to financing, multiple taxation, among others. And that, presently our economy is witnessing some growth. But this growth is not without the, manufacturing sector. And that if you continue to underestimate what they do to provide employment by, just continually levying and taxing, pushing them to further either increase or downsize and all of that, the growth that we are experiencing will continue to reduce. It will not reflect. I think I agree with them. There must be a balance in how we do these things.